Hi guys, how are you today? Ready for new stories Ask a Lawyer prepared for you? Today I have 4. Let's go to the first one, where OP's ex-fiance refuses to give her engagement ring back, which is OP's family heirloom. What would you do to get it back, guys? Enjoy the stories, guys, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. Long story short, I caught my ex-fiance cheating on me with a common friend of ours. A few months prior, I had proposed to her with a family heirloom, my grandmother's engagement ring. I thought she was the love of my life. Boy, was I wrong. Rightfully, after I dumped her, I asked for the ring back, being that it's a family heirloom. She said she is not going to give the ring back because I gave it to her, and she thinks that there's a chance we're going to get back together one day. I told her that she's delusional, and I want nothing to do with her, and told her to give me the ring back right now, but she flat out refused. I didn't want to use physical force on her because there is a better way. I just want to get my ring back and move on. What do I do? The law on engagement rings varies by jurisdiction. Some states say it's a conditional gift, and the giver is entitled to get it back if the marriage never takes place. Others say it's a gift generally, and the givee is entitled to keep it. So that would depend on where this all took place. Another option for OP is to call her mother and tell her the situation and hope mom is more sensible than daughter and will encourage her to give the ring back. Update. Again, going to keep this short. I took some of your guys' advice about kind of sneakily getting the ring back for my ex-fiance. So this morning, I text her saying I should meet her to discuss our future together. And of course, she jumped at the offer to meet me at her place. When I get there, I noticed she wasn't wearing the ring, which at first kind of made me nervous that she had lost the ring or sold it. I asked her about this. She said it was in its box in her bedroom because she doesn't wear jewelry at home or something. Then I started coming up with some BS about us getting together in the future and that I should have the ring back to propose again sometime. But she said she didn't want to give me the ring back because, to her, it symbolizes our love for each other and I'm willing to make this commitment to you and prove to you I won't mess this up again. I nearly gagged when she said that and just nodded. I just wanted to get out of her life for good, but not without my grandmother's ring. She got up to make some coffee for us, and I asked her to use the restroom. But when the coast was clear, I entered her bedroom and I found the ring and put it in my pocket. When I entered the living room again, I told her this was never going to work out and that I will not be speaking to her ever again, and left. The ring is now back in my safe. Hopefully, I can give it to one truly amazing girl one day. Thanks for the advice and for listening, guys. Edit 1. For everyone who's been asking about my ex's reaction, all I heard when I was running out of her place was my name being screamed and a-hole. She's been texting and calling me all day, saying how dare I take her ring and that I'm the a-hole. I'm just going to block her now. Edit 2. Texted her a picture of me wearing the ring on the tip of my ring finger. Then I blocked her. My grandfather specifically left my grandmother's small but sentimentally and very financially valuable jewelry collection to me in his will. Her engagement and eternity rings, some pairs of diamond earrings, 3 diamond bracelets, 2 diamond necklaces, and my great-grandmother's wedding and engagement rings, and her mother's wedding ring. I also have my grandfather's wedding ring and his parents' wedding and engagement rings. My brother, we'll call him Mark, wants me to give half of it to his wife. We'll call her Sarah, since she is the other woman in the family. My father is an only child. I guess my mother doesn't count since they want this stuff. I'm not comfortable with it for a couple of reasons. You never know what will happen in the future. What happens if they get divorced and Sarah pockets or pawns the items and family heirlooms are lost forever? Neither Sarah nor Mark had any interest in these items until they saw how much they are worth on some paperwork. Then, all of a sudden, they wanted half of it. This concerns me that they might want to pawn them. My grandmother never knew Sarah or had a relationship with Sarah, as she died 2 years before Mark met her. Sarah is not her blood relative, and they did not have a relationship. With that in mind, I don't think it's really appropriate it goes to a married-in when some of these pieces have been in the family for over 100 years. My grandparents were born in Poland. Some of these items survived the Holocaust. I think they belong in the hands of descendants of the family and to be passed into the next generation accordingly. I was very close to my grandfather. He admitted to me that he does not like Sarah for a couple of reasons. I won't list them off, but he really disliked her. While I don't plan to tell them he disliked her, it is a reason I do not want to hand it over to her. I believe there is a reason he left them to me and not split between us, and that was because he knew I'd appreciate the sentimental value of the pieces and not just the financial value, and would pass them on to the next generation. It was also a sore point for my grandfather that my brother never showed an interest in our family's history or an interest in learning and speaking Polish. I am fluent. I am teaching my 3-year-old daughter to speak Polish and plan to leave these items to her and future children, assuming I don't get the sense she'll run off to the pawn shop with them. Speaking of Sarah and Mark claiming it is because they want some pieces of the family history, I called their bluff. When I asked if they'd like something, such as one of the letters my grandfather wrote her as a teenager and had smuggled out of a concentration camp to be delivered to her, since they are into family history, and they weren't interested. They also weren't interested in the male wedding rings, the ones not worth much money, for their son. Funny that. Maybe because it can't be sold for a lot of money. They just seem to want the valuable items. I spoke to a lawyer who said they don't really have a leg to stand on to contest it on in our jurisdiction because he is entitled to leave specific items to a specific person, and because our father is alive, he is technically the most entitled to the state, and grandchildren can't contest a will when they are not considered a dependent of the descendant, and my brother would not be. I thought about giving some of the items to my brother, but he is so whipped by Sarah that he'll just give them straight to her, and I suspect the reason he is fighting for them is because Sarah wants the diamonds. The problem is, they are now threatening to never speak to my parents again unless I do the right thing, which means they'd never see their grandson again. They're using this 4-year-old to try and emotionally blackmail me into handing over these valuable heirlooms I don't trust them with. OP should stick to her guns. I don't think she should hand over a single thing from that collection. The fact they only became interested in it when learning of the financial value of the jewelry, and the fact they were not interested in less valuable items from the collection is a huge red flag. OP is perfectly justified in being concerned they want the items so they can pawn them for the cash. OP's concern that the items could be lost by your family in a divorce is also very valid. Even if she gives them to her brother and specified they are for him and not Sarah, she could hide them somewhere or pawn them before leaving him. These items are too special to be lost to OP's family, and if this is what OP has to do to keep them safe, so be it. The fact they are using their son to try and manipulate OP and her parents into giving them valuable items speaks volumes about both their character and their true motives. OP should tell them, no, they were left to me, and I won't disrespect my grandfather's wishes by giving them to anyone else. Then refuse to discuss it any further. If Sarah's got a problem with that, then she can look into necromancy and have it out with Grandpa. Hi. So, I'm still pretty hurt right now, a couple of days later, as is the rest of our family, my now wife and my wife's family. My brother has never been close to anyone in our family and only met my wife one time in the 3 years we dated in university. He lives far away from the rest of us, myself, wife, and our other brother, parents, and everyone in our extended family. As soon as he left for university, a little under 5.5 years ago, he was only home one time. His first winter break freshman year. Since then, no one in my family has seen him except for my dad, who goes to help him move apartments every September. My brother RSVP'd to the wedding almost 8 months ago, and our entire family was excited to finally see him after such a long time. I called him a week ago to make sure he had his plane tickets, suit, etc., and everything for the wedding. He reassured me yes, and told me he'd be flying in a couple of hours before the wedding. My dad was going to go pick him up since I was busy preparing for my wedding. But when my dad called an hour after my brother said he was flying in, I was floored. My brother never showed up, and my dad looked up the flight number to check if it was delayed, and found out that it wasn't even a real number. We all tried calling him, and he didn't pick up, emailing, everything. He didn't respond to anyone. The wedding was mixed for me, since I was worried about him, and while I was happy, it definitely was not the greatest it could have been if he simply showed up. He returned my email and said that he had forgotten that he had a trip planned for the same weekend. Turned out that he went on a last-minute hiking trip to another ducking country halfway around the world by himself instead of being there for me and seeing his family. I was floored, and so was everyone else. No one has talked to my brother since then, but he hasn't tried contacting any of them either. Relationships. I have no idea how to treat this. Looks like OP's brother does not want to be a part of OP's family anymore. After that little stunt where he lied to all of them about planning to attend OP's wedding, I think it would be best to stop trying to include him. Update. My dad got a phone call yesterday afternoon from the police department where my brother lives. He is not with us anymore. He left a note saying that it wasn't anyone's fault and that his time had come. That was it. My dad is flying up there tomorrow to claim the body and bring my brother home. My mother is destroyed. It's been almost a month since my last update, and things have gotten a little deeper. About 2 weeks ago, my mother and father got a call from an executor or something about a will that my brother had, and all of us were named in it. I didn't know my brother really had any assets because he was pretty comfortable with sharing his bank accounts, credit cards with our mother. We showed up, and there was a woman there already waiting for the executor that no one in the family had ever seen before. Turns out that my brother in his junior year at university got a girl pregnant and kept it secret from the entire family. My mother practically fainted when this girl told us, and my father just kind of didn't react. I was pretty astonished that he managed to keep something like that a secret. I won't lie, I was pretty angry at the time at my brother for what he did and for never telling anyone in the family. He managed to keep it under wraps by taking out student loans to cover his tuition and expenses while still accepting money from our parents that was for school, so my parents wouldn't notice the extra charges. His girlfriend's parents helped out as well. When the girl told my mom this, she was pretty visibly hurt. I think she was ashamed. Our family is Roman Catholic, and our mother is very devout, so the idea of prenatal S and a baby born out of wedlock probably would not have gone over well at all. He had apparently been in a relationship with this girl for a month or two before she got pregnant. She didn't want to get rid of the baby, and he didn't want it, so they decided that they would give it a real shot. Well, apparently something stuck, because he'd been with the girl up until the day he left us. Apparently, they even talked about getting married. All of this kind of came out of left field. I have a nephew. My brother was a father. My mother was both overjoyed and had other feelings about this. All I know is that my brother still lives on. My nephew really looks like him too from the pictures I've seen. My mother has already met him, and my wife and I and my other brother are going to be seeing him for the first time this weekend. As for the will, he pretty much left everything of value to his son and girlfriend. Some sentimental items and personal heirloom type stuff given to him by my dad and mom were left to go back to my brother, and I had a little left as well. It wasn't a hasty will either. Apparently, he had it written out when his son turned 1. Some background. We've been dating for well over a year. My boyfriend lives with his parents, so I often go over to their house to visit. I'll stay for 2 to 3 nights. I spend a lot of time with his family, and I feel loved and welcome. His family has always been kind toward me, and I feel extremely comfortable there. So this is a massive heartbreak and a shock for me. My boyfriend came over to spend time with me yesterday. I already knew about the jewelry because we had spoken on the phone a few nights prior. From what I understand, the stolen necklace was very valuable and a family heirloom, and his mom is very distressed about it. She has contacted the police. He told me he had something awkward to talk to me about. His mother asked him before leaving for my place to look around for the jewelry. He obviously felt uncomfortable and apologetic and was not supposed to tell me about this request. I know he does not believe it was me, and he emphasized that his mom is very distressed and rationalizing things to herself. But I was still devastated. I did not even know this jewelry existed. I would die before I did any such thing to his family. I love my boyfriend and his parents so much. I can't even express how much it hurt me that she would even consider me. I know that she is just upset and is looking at all her options. The police even declared my boyfriend as a subject when she called them, though they aren't taking any legal action against me. She just asked him to look. But I don't know how I can face her again. I'm not trying to solve this mystery. I'm trying to cope with the accusation made. I really felt like I was a part of the family, but now I feel like I have no relationship with his parents if they believe I could do something like this. Should I speak to her? What would I even say? Should I wait before I go back into their home? In my opinion, boyfriend's mom doesn't like and even trust OP. OP's boyfriend clearly suspects OP to some degree. Otherwise, he wouldn't have brought OP into this whole situation. The family doesn't give a damn about OP, and neither does her boyfriend. The trust in these relationships is clearly gone. And you don't really come back and have a happy relationship where they love you and your future children from this.